Again, I say welcome, my friends, to another episode on the Social Bond Media Network when we drill deep into our diaspora through the various platforms we have and uncover the diamonds that are there. Sometimes covered, so we make sure we bring them to light so they sparkle. So this afternoon we have another special guest, and I'm going to kick it over to our co-host, John Melbourne, to do the introductions.
Thank you so much, Trevor, and a very good afternoon once more to our family and friends locked into John Sports Corner. Welcome again, and thank you for visiting and staying with our global weekly updates on the social bone media platform, the Global Caribbean Media Capital. Of course, you can go to the platform any time of day or night and view our sports updates. And there, as Trevor says, there's also a lot of other interesting things on the platform that might interest you. But let me remind you to go to the Winner's Circle Radio store in the Social Bone shop and go gift shopping. It's Christmas time now. There are backpacks there. We have tote bags. We have the mugs, of course, T-shirts, sorrel. It's Christmas time, so sorrel is there, and we can't go without the great Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee. Um, Christmas morning you get up and you brew some of that coffee, just lights up the house, and even Santa Claus will come visiting. But again, thank you so much for staying with us on the Social Bone Media Network. Well, you know, we have a special guest with us this afternoon in the person of one Miss Danielle Slowly. And Danielle, please say hello to Dale Brown, who will take the lead in this mixed relay.
Hi, Mr. Dale. Thank you so much again for having me. I'm so honored to be here.
Now, before Dale takes the baton, Danielle, just to start with Hurricane Melissa. Do you have family in Jamaica who might have been affected by the hurricane?
I actually do. My dad's side of the family is from Hanover, out by Lucy, especially on the coast. So they've suffered a lot of damage, especially
Hmm.
infrastructure damage to their house. A lot of my family has been assembling barrels to carry back down. I know there's a Christmas drive going down that side, especially over onto the coast of where Lucy is. So
Hmm.
we are all we gladly we all still have life, and for the most part everyone's okay. It's just a little structural damage for us to pull together and just fix as a family.
Have you ever experienced a hurricane?
I was here for Beryl last year actually because Beryl was it was a little bit after the Olympic trials or before the Olympic trials. I don't quite.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, if it was, yeah, I think it was after the Olympic trial. So I was here for burial. I actually woke up in the middle of the night to go to the living room, and my foot was in a pool of water, and that wasn't too fun. So we had to bail out some water, and I was in Kingston, which is probably the more fortunate part of
Mhm.
Jamaica to be affected. I wasn't in St. Elizabeth or Clarendon, which were more deeply affected, but I still had to bail out water, and that wasn't too fun for me. So that was my last
Yeah.
experience.
Okay. So Dale, let me pass the baton on to you. I'll pick it up from there.
Okay, thank you very much, John, and thank you, Sir Trevor. John and Sir Trevor, I am so excited, and I want the viewers, to know how excited I am because I'm really delighted to introduce a most impressive young lady whose character and self-belief are firmly, firmly rooted in her Christian faith and upbringing. And that is most impressive for me. And it's a faith that guides her discipline, her leadership, and commitment to excellence, both academically and in sports. She has represented Jamaica in athletics at both the junior and senior levels. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Miss Danielle Slowly, a former head girl and outstanding athlete of Immaculate Conception High School, which is a school that is held in very high esteem, quite rightly so, in Jamaica.
Mhm.
So, Danielle, open arms, welcome to you.
Thank you so very much again for having me. As I said before, so honored to be here.
Yes. So, Danielle, we'll start off with um, asking you to tell us about the first school you attended before going to Immaculate, and tell us a little bit about the relatives or teachers who played a significant role in shaping your character during those early years.
You start sending me way back, way, way back. Well, I can start from the prep school I went to. I went to a small prep school in St. Andrew. It was called the Richmond Park Preparatory. How I landed there, my mom, she went when she was a kid. My aunt also went there when she was a child, and growing up, it was also really close to where my mother works. So she was just like, I'm not driving all the way out, way, way out of way to go and get you for school. So she was like, I'm going to find the closest school here. And that so happened to be it. So honestly, that's where I got my start. I would say it was a wonderful experience. It was very small. I was in a class with exactly 20 people, 10 boys, 10 girls. It was very close knit. I would say someone from that school who truly inspired me was honestly the principal. Her name was Helen Douglas. She's like a KC legend. She was the vice principal, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think she was the vice principal of Kingston College in her earlier days of being a teacher, and then she kind of just transitioned into her mother owned the school, so she transitioned into running the school after her mother passed. Her mother was Hilma Douglas. But Miss Douglas, I would definitely say she's pushed every single student there to be their absolute best. If she finds out that you have a talent, she's relentless in encouraging you to pursue it. She encourages you to do it boldly and bravely and as perfect as possible. And I would say she is who I would credit like my start or some of my earlier confidence in, especially when you're in a small school. It's not a lot of people. It's not hard to perform in front of 20 people, but the confidence you do get performing in front of 20 people can transition into speaking in front of thousands of people. I was
Yes, yes.
actually the deputy head girl, if that even counts, at like 11, 12. I was the deputy head girl of that school. And I would say being at that small school and being put in a position like that, honestly, it gave me all the confidence that I can attribute to today. It made a lot of things simple for me, and it made how I walk, how I talk, how I speak, how I carry myself. It was implemented in me from such a young age, and I would accredit it almost all of it, if not all of it, to Miss Helen Douglas.
I am happy to hear that in regards to the preparatory elementary part, because within the context of our diaspora, we hear so much about our high schools. Okay, so much about our high schools, and sometimes there seems to be a memory lapse that the foundation was set from the preparatory school. So I'm so pleased that you're able to identify your schools, because many of the students who hear this recording will resonate. It will resonate with them, and then the ones who are now attending school, they'll see what their school has produced. Because sometimes you're not tied to your preparatory school, you're only tied to your high school and your college.
That's definitely true. Definitely true.
Yes, and maybe skipping a little bit before, because you have been an outstanding athlete, but the past 3 days, starting from Saturday, have been extremely important to you and significant to you in your life's journey. So, could you just summarize Saturday, December 13th to Tuesday, December 16th for us?
No, absolutely. So I got a email a long time ago out of the blue. I was very shocked and surprised about it, saying I was getting a youth award by the New York alumni chapter of the Immaculate Conception High School. That award was given to me on Saturday. It was in New York. I got to fly. I was in New York for the very first time, so that was so exciting. Very cold, but very exciting. So I had to fly to Phoenix on the Friday to make it in time for that award on Saturday. I got to reconnect with a lot of my big sisters, who I call the other alumni and the other members of the New York chapter. They've been in contact with us since we were in high school. I know them. I call all of them auntie to this day, and I'm 24 years old, and they will forever be auntie to me. I can't bring myself to call them anything else. So I got that award on Saturday. On Sunday, I flew back for my convocation ceremony on Monday to graduate with my master's from Arizona State University. And then on Tuesday, I officially received my diploma with my master's in global management and an emphasis in global business. So I moved from award ceremony to convocation to graduation, which was yesterday.
Interesting.
And the reason, one of the reasons why we bring that up, Danielle, is because you are a shining example of the student athlete who manages to or has managed to balance your academics along with your sport. And you do both of them in an excellent fashion. And what we want to do is for athletes out there, high school athletes or even collegiate athletes, to understand that yes, you can do it if you put your mind to it. And at age 24, having represented Jamaica both junior and in the international arena, I think that what you have done is a perfect example of what we are talking about with a well-rounded individual. And that's what you are. And that's who you are.
Thank you
So
so
we
much.
wanted to bring that out. And congratulations are in order for you. I'm sure the professor wants to say congrats, and John also.
Yes, but
Sure, sure.
I would like to know also about the representation in the junior and the senior athletic situation.
We're coming to that.
We'll get there.
Well, I am not a fast runner, so I normally start early.
It will be there. Yes. So with that, Daniel, I'm gonna take the baton and shift gears. And I'm gonna take you to the year will be 2017, and you're at girls champs, boys and girls champs. We'll just say champs. And okay, so you are in the class two shot put finals. And that was, I believe, the first time you are making a final at champs.
That is true.
Okay. So now, what did Danielle do? She simply won the competition.
Hmm.
Now,
Okay.
what do you remember about that moment when you had the winning throw or when you got your medal? What do you remember?
Well, firstly, I didn't know I won until way after the competition. And I don't even think my coach knew I won until way after the competition. My coach, which was at the time Franz Ford, he and I have always made it a priority that competitions are just about you and just only you. So you don't really hear the other marks. You don't really know what I can count on my hand the amount of times I know what actually is going on in the competition. I kind of just wait to hear my name, and then I'd ask my coach, "Hey, did I make the final?" He'd be like, "Yes," and I'd be like, "Okay, good." But I was in, and this is just going off memory, which is not the greatest. I was in third place at the time going into that final. And I was just grateful to be there. Honestly, as an Immaculate girl, there's not a lot of us that have made finals, but at least during that time, they're killing the stage now. Um, there haven't been a lot of us that made finals and stuff. And honestly, I just wanted to go out there and do my coach proud and give us some points that year. So when I heard that I was in third place, it's like at that time I was like, well, now or never, just go out and have the greatest time, and the Lord will place you where you need to be. And whatever it is, you will be grateful. So then I think on my very last throw, my coach he yells this phrase. It says, "Fortune favors the brave," and I carry it to this day. And he yelled at me. He was like, they call me Sloley, by the way. No one uses my first name in Jamaica. He said, slowly. And I was like, and I'm looking in the stands. He said, fortune favors the brave. And I gave him a thumbs up and I turned around and then I just honestly gave it my best effort. I looked to the sky, I said, all right, God, now or never. And I threw and it went and I got a PR. And honestly, I was just happy for the personal best because I've never, throughout that season, I don't think I've ever thrown 14 meters before. And that championship was the first time I believe I have thrown over 14 meters and it was in competition, fortunately. So then I was done and I heard the PR and I ran over and I ran into his arms and I jumped and we hugged and we were done and we were like, okay, where did I place? He said, I don't know. And I was like, what do you mean you don't know? So then we went over and they were like, medalists come. So I was like, oh, so I did secure the third. Nobody passed me. Yay.
Okay.
They're like, no, you won. And I said, won. It's Uncle Franz. I said, Uncle Franz, we won. And then it was just honestly just the greatest time. And I remember that's one of my favorite memories competing in general, especially because all I was doing was just having fun, trusting God, and going out there and having a good time. It wasn't any pressure at all because honestly, I was already going in as an underdog. I don't even think I had the furthest mark for the season. So to come out, come on top and win, that was truly a gem of a time.
Well, all fun and joke aside, did you have yellow yam the night before?
Yeah, probably. Maybe if I did, I would have thrown 15. I don't know, but I did not. I don't touch any of
But see, I don't know, and if you don't mind me asking this question here,
them.
um, how did you get into throws? Was it before high school or when you got to high school?
So my introduction to throwing, it wasn't shot put, discus, or javelin at the time. In prep school, once again, being a very tiny prep school, and we sent probably about one relay. And added in addition to that, to prep champs was me doing the ball throw. And I think I came maybe fourth to last in the entire competition. Don't quote me on that though. And at one track meet, I think it was at JC when I was in prep school, I threw and I came third. And I have that medal to this day. And it was one of my first medals like ever in life because I wasn't very athletic. That's just true. I wasn't very athletic at all. Honestly, I even came to Immaculate on a chess scholarship from the Magnificent Chess Foundation, and they had to pull
Mm-hmm.
it because I did not continue playing chess because I found track and field. But to fast track that summer, I passed for Immaculate in ooh, June. Maybe I think that's when results come out for GSAT. And that summer, I went to a vacation Bible camp, and my mother started talking to one of the directors that was there, and she was like, "Oh, my daughter passed for Immaculate." She's like, "Oh, my daughter goes to Immaculate. She's going to camp." So my mother's like, "Oh, what kind of camp?" She's like, "Oh, your daughter should go to camp. Like, go to camp. It's a good time. It's fun. Sometimes they swim." So then my mother turned around and she was like, "Oh yeah, she'll send me to the camp." So she paid and she sent me to the camp. Me thinking it's a fun, good time, feel good camp. Turned out it's a track and field camp. Everyone around me is running and doing laps. Nobody's having a good time. And at the time, there weren't even many throws around, and I think Coach Ford was on vacation, so they had to put me with the sprinters at the time. I'm very much obviously not a sprinter, and I've never been built like a sprinter. So that we've realized very quickly that sprinting was not going to work out. I was already at the camp, my mother was at work, she was not going to pick me up, and she already paid the money. So I had to go back for that entire summer. And the truth is, when friends came back, he introduced me to throwing, and there were some other girls there that started off a little later in the summer, and it just kind of became a little community for us. And I just kept going back. So that was the summer before I officially started Immaculate. So it's like a weird transitional period. But I don't know. I just kept going back. I liked the competitiveness of it all. I like challenging myself. I'm one of those people where if you tell me I can't do something, I'm definitely going to try. At
Mm.
the very least. So I think that's the attitude that just kept me going. And honestly, to this day, as well as the sisterhood that was there and the sisterhood that existed and the way we pushed each other to exceed our limits, stuff like that. It was a great environment for me, especially in the seventh grade. So I just continued going.
What was the reception like for you when you went back to school now as a champion?
Oh, the reception was overwhelming and honestly a little insane to me because I went back and we had assembly, and the track team wasn't a very significant part of Immaculate. If you know Immaculate, it is just straight swimming, tennis.
Mm,
That's where we dominate. Swimming,
Mhm.
tennis. So to
mm,
come back from champs, and we had General Assembly on the morning, and they were just like, "Oh, stand up the representatives of the track team," and they called each of our names, and they said, "Oh, let the medal winners come forward." And then I think I had the only gold of that year, or the first gold that we've had in a while, because we've gotten gold before, but it's the first gold we've had in a little while. And so to go up, and then they called my name, and everybody was cheers, roars, screaming. And I was like, wow, this is so overwhelming. It was teachers congratulating me time after time. I think one of the teachers was just like, "Can I wear the medal?" And I was like, "Of course you can wear the medal." And it was honestly it was such a grand time. And I don't think I've felt that supported out front until that moment right there. Like, I always knew the school is there for your best interest, but it was in that moment that I was like, oh wow, like the school is actually very much proud of me and very much behind me, and they actually do care about
okay.
track.
Mhm. Can you imagine?
No, no. What was Mama now like after you won?
She was there. She was
Oh,
there. My aunt was there, and I believe my dad was there too. My dad, he lives in Maryland, and he flew down because it was my first chance of even making the final, and he was like, I have to be there. He's been there years before, but I was not making those discus finals, so he came down that year for that. And I remember the second person I hugged after Uncle France was my mom and my aunt, and I think I have a picture of it somewhere up
mm.
in my house. It's printed, and I think it's in my living room. And honestly, to hug my parents and be like, look, all those late night trainings, the everything proof, you shouldn't have let me quit. And I was just really happy. And my family, they'd support me no matter what. If I was a chess champion, they would have been there. So just to go to them and just to see them see the hard work pay off, that was truly one of the more rewarding moments in my life as well.
Right. So you left with all of that glory, and you also medaled at the CARIFTA Games in the
I did.
under 18 category.
I did.
And compared to champs, I'm sure it was a different feeling, different experience.
Mhm.
How was that?
Because it was my first national team, which is ironic because it's like there were a lot of firsts that year. That was my first national team. I went, and I was super nervous because I was like, okay, I competed in Jamaica, but that doesn't mean, you're gonna medal on the world stage and stuff. So I went, and my first throws were terrible. They were so bad, and I was like, oh no, Jamaica's gonna be ashamed. And then I went over to the coach who was there at that time. I can't remember his name right now. But I went over to him, and I was like, call France. I was telling like, call France because I don't know what is going on. And he called him, and then he put him on speaker from a distance because we can't really have technology in competition. And France was just like, what are you doing? Go out there and compete. And then he was like, remember, fortune favors the brave. Same saying over and over. You're gonna hear that a lot in any story I tell.
Mm,
And I was just like, no, you're. He's like, remember, you're there to have a good time. You have nothing to prove. Just go and be yourself. And then I returned back to the ring, and I think I threw. It may have been 14.25. It wasn't a PR, but it was enough for second place at the time. So I had a silver medal from CARIFTA shortly after.
Okay.
right, right. So we'll jump to 2018, and you defended your Class 2 shot put title, and with that was a record throw
Yes.
that you defended it with. Now, the significance of that season is that you had multiple injuries during that season, and maybe a little doubt came in. What would you say fueled your determination?
Fueling my determination at the time. Well, as you said, I was riddled with injuries, my hamstring and then my shoulder dislocated and popped back. It was a lot. And I was also doing CSEC in the same year. So that was SBA's, everything. And actually the night before, I think I went to bed at like 2 a.m. because I was doing an SBA. My teacher was like, it needs to be delivered at 8:30 in the morning or I'm not marking it. Uh, but I would say what pushed my determination was always my team. You know, being around such a small team with a big heart, everybody truly has to play their part in order for us to get anywhere, in order for us to do anything. As Immaculate, we're not the first to be sponsored. Well, at the time, once again, the girls are up now. But we weren't the first to be sponsored. So if you wanted opportunity and you wanted your school to shine in a certain way, you had to honestly put yourself second. For a second, put the team first and just go out there and just know that you gave it your all. So it was like when I went out there, I told you once again, similar to the first season, nothing to prove. I already knew I didn't have the highest marks going into champs. I don't even think I was predict because they have like champs predictions. I don't even think I was predicted in the finals for that year. And I went in and I was like, well, nothing to lose. You made it past the first round, which is more than you thought you would have done. And I mean, you're here, might as well have some fun. And once again, trust the good Lord above to take you where He needs to take you. I did not plan to throw any record. I didn't plan to do any of that. I was like, I just want to come out here, score some points for Immaculate, put our name on the board, make my coach proud, and just have my team know that, listen, I gave you guys the best I could. So that was really the motivation for going out that year. And honestly, I think it just gave me a different strength. Like even when I was competing, I saw at the time the class three girls were having the relay and they were running around at the same time. Once again, stadium was empty because it was a Wednesday night. And so there was no one cheering for them. So in the middle of my competition, I turn around and I see the girls and I was like, go Chanel, go Chanel, go Chanel, cheering as I'm competing. And it's just like even that little extra push, seeing her physically go faster because of the cheering that we were doing, seeing them motivated, knowing that the girls are out here just giving their best. It fueled me to just turn around and be like, well, now I have to lead by example. If I'm cheering you on, well, now it's time for me to cheer myself on and do my best. I would say that's my motivation for that year.
Beautiful. Now, later that year, Danielle, you were given the opportunity to not only represent Jamaica at the Youth Olympic Games in Argentina, but you were also asked to captain the team. What did that mean to you to be given that opportunity?
Well, it was the IAF that gave me a wild card for the competition. I did not expect to go. It was not on my calendar at all. And to be called forward to captain the team, there was a little, what would you call it? A little, it's not self-doubt. Self-doubt's not the word, but probably a little disbelief. Yeah, are you guys sure you want me to captain the team? Like I'm seeing some heavy hitters like Akira Nugent was on that team, Antonio Watson was on that team, like some serious heavy hitters were on the team. So for them to not necessarily look past, but for them to see me within that array of stars and be like, we want you to captain the team. It was an honor. Truly, it was a little responsibility as well, some logistic stuff, getting everybody where they need to go. But honestly, I was very shocked and I was very surprised and I was very honored all in one.
Okay. I'll just jump to 2019 before the others will jump in. And you are now in class one, and you earn a silver medal in your first year in class one. Um, but before we get to that silver medal, I remember your coach, Franz Ford, complimenting you or crediting the success that you had had for helping the school to recruit athletes and for also showing those girls who were not gifted with running fast or running long that there were field events and they could pick up the field events. And I believe you are now seen as the catalyst for the success that Immaculate High School is now enjoying at Champs because they're in the top six. Up to last year, they finished in the top six. So, could you tell me your feelings about that?
I I think my success or what friends and I have achieved together with our coaching athlete relationship has inspired others to kind of view the field events just as important in contributing to the team as the rest. Whenever girls came and they wanted to throw and they were nervous about, hey, not athletic, I don't think I'm athletic. I always reminded them, guys, I came here to do chess. I came here to do chess and I'm here by accident. And honestly, with the culture that he's cultivated on that team where we all push each other and we motivate each other, I would say people saw that culture at school. We'd eat lunch together in and out. People saw that culture and the sisterhood that we had. And I would say that's probably what most attracted people to come and joining the track team and finding out what their talent was. I would say the talent or the achievements that I had probably did help in a sense just to like expose it to other people. But what kept the people going and keeps our retention rates and inspires others to come and join and find their own talents was that sisterhood that Franz Ford and Floyd Corey have cultivated on that team.
Well, spoken like a true team leader, because now you're in Pennsylvania and you're at the Penn Relays and you become the third Jamaican to ever win the shot put for high school girls at the Relay Carnival. Now, if that is not going to make anyone aware, I don't know what is going to. So, can you take us through that part of the journey in Pennsylvania on that fateful day?
On the faithful day, well, going into Pens, I had to forfeit CARIFTA. I had to put my team a little bit before myself, and I was a little sad about it, but ultimately, like representing my school had to come before representing at the CARIFTA games. Going into the competition, once again, I didn't look at the start list. I didn't look at anything really. So if I didn't know the Jamaican competitors before, I sure did not know the American competitors. And again, I went in, mind completely blank, just there to have a good time. Franz was on the other side, and honestly, I was also there to network and try to see if I can get my name in like on the spectrum of a lot of the colleges that were there because a lot of athletes view Penns as a college recruitment opportunity. So I went with the mindset of I just want to represent my school and do it to the best of my ability. When they said that I made the final, once again, didn't know what position. I didn't know if I was first, second, third. I kind of assumed I wasn't first because I know what like these American girls could throw because throwing is American like home soil bread and butter. They're exceptional. They produce throws on a like yearly generational basis. Not so
Mhm.
much. Yeah, no, not really. It's kind of crazy how they do it over here. But going into that competition, I said, well. At the end of the day, all of us get the same weight ball to throw, and it's whoever wants it the most on the day who's going to get it. And that day, I think I just wanted it a little extra more than anybody else, and I just kind of trusted myself, trusted my body to push the ball as hard as I could. Once again, I turned. My coach, the last words he said to me were, "Fortune favors the brave." I told you you're gonna hear that like a million times in every story that I say.
Right.
And he said, Fortune favors the brave, and I chose to be brave. And I think that day I felt just like a little extra confident because I was like, you made it this far. Like you're at the Penn Relays, you qualified, you've made the finals. So it's like I was already proud of myself. And I was like, God, if you don't do anything else for me, I am so grateful. And I just turned around. I said, this is the last throw. Something about me on the last throw. Notice I've said it out loud. This is the last throw, and I'm going to give it my all. And God, you just take control. And He did. And I got another PR now with the 4K, which is the Olympic level weight shot. And apparently, I beat out the number one girl coming in high school.
Mhm.
So that experience, once again, I would put it on the shelf of the other things that the Lord has done for me. Did not expect to come out winning. I just went in with the willing heart that anything was possible, and with God, all things are possible. So I would say, yeah, that was really it. And coming off after that and seeing all my big sisters and everyone who's like Team Jamaica Bickle, all these different support systems for the children who come from America to come and compete, it was also really inspiring. So I would say between that support and going in with an open mind and my coach's support, which is always there for me, I would say that's really the accumulation of that's really what got me through that day.
What year was that, Danielle?
2019.
Oh, good, because I know you had jerk chicken in the village that year. Good.
Definitely so. So good. So good. I think I even had yam that time
Yeah.
too.
But,
So
but,
good.
but, but let me ask you this, Daniel. As a thrower, did your distances improve as you got deeper into the competition?
I think so. Usually, I think my first throw was a foul, and this is me digging the archives of the back of my memory. But usually, my first throw in competitions, it would start off really well. So it would usually be like close to my PR, but And then I'd have another throw that usually secures me in the final if I was to look at the trends over the years. But the first aim of the first round when you go into that throw and you get the first three is, listen, I just want to make this final. And then after you make the final, the gloves are off and it's time to put on a show, time to have a good time. And that's usually
Mm.
how I go into all of my finals. And by the end of it, and by the last throw, I would say it's usually time to have a good time and I just trust myself and you just give it your very best effort.
So, before you left school, obviously, 2020, COVID came and there was no champs that year. And that would have been your final year. But you had the honor of being the head girl for your school, which is, with all your athletic accomplishment, I would think that this perhaps stands above everything else. How did leadership off the track as a head girl strengthen your performance on the track and motivate, in your opinion, the other girls at that point?
Well, when I heard I was running for head girl, that was actually during that 2019. Yes, so during that 2019 champs. That's when I heard I was running and I said yes. So coming back and going into all the training because they had major events that the prefect council was in charge of, which means I would be in charge of all of that. And to adjust the shift in like going to training, already hard. Going to school and then going to training, already hard. Going to school, squeezing in prefect council meetings, meeting with the principals, and then going to training, also extremely, extremely hard. And I would say that entire experience really shifted my perspective on time management and how much you can really squeeze in a day with the right amount of determination and getting up early. So my mother, she worked in Linstead and we lived in Kingston and I went to Immaculate. So you can imagine the geography there. I was at school at 5:30 every single day, like at school, not leaving home. I mean, at school at 5:30 every day. And I would attribute that to how I got most of the things done because I was already up, I was already kicking, and being up that early is when I usually got most of my things done. School would start at about, you'd be in class by about 7:30. So that's about 2 hours of silence and quiet for you to focus, catch up on studying and doing most of that. So I'd say time management is something I really took out of that, prioritizing my sleep, like figuring out what my priorities are before practice throughout the day. That's really also what got me through that entire immaculate experience. And I would say from a introspective or from a personal standpoint, having belief in myself in terms of I am enough exactly where I am and I'm exactly where God wants me to be because otherwise I wouldn't be here. I would say I took that through to competition during the season that year because I think I even opened up with the furthest I've ever opened up, which was like 14-1, and usually I start somewhere in the 13s before champs. And yeah, so the head girl experience, it was, I would say, I would summarize by saying it was all about time management, self-belief, and if I didn't trust God before, that was a great time to start trusting God a little extra because everything was due, everything was all over the place, and I had teams to lead and people to answer to, and a new standard to hold myself by because, like, being on the track team, yeah, that's fun. But being head girl of Immaculate, that's a different standard that you have to live by, and the eyes are definitely on you from whether from alumni to the girls on the track team seeing someone be in a position of student leadership like that's the highest level of student leadership you can be at the school. So the eyes were on me for sure. There was a lot of questioning of, hey, are you sure you're supposed to be here? Was this the right decision? I don't think, I'm proper enough, or I don't think I'm doing everything right. And it's like, at the end of the day, you have to silence the voice in your head to say and listen and center yourself and humble yourself in. You are right where the Lord wants you to be, and you're here for a purpose. And I had to wake up every morning and remind myself of that. My mother reminded me of that in the morning. And I would say that's what got me through that experience.
John, I'll give you an opportunity, or Professor.
Am I to question my conclusion that you're an only child?
I am an only child. I sound like an only child.
So was it only shot put or did you throw discus too?
You could say I threw discus, just not very well.
Mm.
Not very well at all.
No, how
So
did
so
go
the
ahead, John?
technique, was it the technique that gave you problems in the discus throw, that why you probably didn't gravitate towards that too much?
I would say it was probably more about mobility and flexibility. That's never really been my strong suit, at least not in high school. So I was raw strength and power. Like my numbers in the weight room weren't like normal. I was keeping up with girls way above me. And when I started lifting weights in the ninth grade, there were some like serious number weights. I remember friends pushing me in that gym every single day. So he more played to my strength of just raw strength and power. Like I was just explosive and strong, and that was it. The flexibility, the catching the discus way back here, the turning all the way. And I'm also not too tall either. It was too much. It
Mm.
was
So
Let's go back to the Penn Relays. Your first experience at the Penn Relays. How did you manage maybe the temperatures at that time? Because I figured it was a little cool coming out of Jamaica and into the cool for the first time.
well, the day I was the funny enough, the leading days going into Penn, not that bad. The day I competed, rain, cold, breeze, the whole 9 yards, and I was wondering what was all this for? Like this is so unnecessary because the weather was literally so good. It was like one sweater, you're perfectly fine. You could even not wear a sweater if you felt like. But on the day of my competition, it was rain, cold, breeze, the whole 9 yards. I just remember being snuggled up in my sweatsuit until the last minute before I had to compete. So it's like I had to bundle up as much as possible. And as soon as I heard my name in like, because it'd be like coming up next and the person after that, I'd just be like stripping off my clothes really, really quickly, jumping up, making sure that I was warm. I'd have to run in between. I think Uncle Francis even had some like mittens or stuff that he'd give me in between the competitions just for my hands to stay like not cramped. So
Mhm.
that was that weather experience, which it wasn't too fun, but I mean, the end result was rewarding. And also, I think I was too focused on the competition to care about the weather because I don't even remember being that much cold in actually throwing. It wasn't until way after where I was like, I need a coat, I need a jacket, I need two sweatpants. This is way too much.
you know, you indicated well, from our listening, we understand you endured and overcame. But talk about the dislocation of your shoulder. How did that come about?
That would have been fall 2017 going into the 2018 semester. We were snatching one day in the weight room, and I think we were doing, it was max day, maybe. It had to have been max day. We were snatching one day in the weight room, and I felt something pop in my shoulder. But then I
Mm.
was like, oh, let me just pop it back. So then I felt the pop and the other pop. And then I was like, no, this hurts that hurts so bad. And I told friends, and he was like, okay, just put some ice on it. And then we just kept trying to, ice and stem, get massages on it and everything. And after a while, it was when it was so persistent that it was just this continuous nagging pain. It was affecting my bench, it was affecting my throwing, it was affecting the way I slept. It was so bad that we had to say, no, no, we actually have to go to the physiotherapist. And one of the physiotherapists said that it did pop out and pop back in, but
Mm.
there's so much scar tissue because it didn't pop
Mhm.
back in the right way that was what I was experiencing. It was the scar tissue that was affecting my mobility and my range of motion in my shoulder.
So how long did it take you to recover?
How long did it take? We had to take December, no, we had to take November off, I think. I was out for maybe 2, 3 weeks, just ice stem recovery. And then in December when we had Christmas camp, which is, like the big training camp that you have before the season starts, that's when we kind of had to nurse myself back into health and try to get back into everything.
Okay, so being a rising star or a shining star in that in that event, how were you recognized by the Ministry of Sports in Jamaica?
How was I recognized by the Ministry of Sports in Jamaica? Ministry of Sports in Jamaica? Um, I gotten one award, I think, from the Ministry of Sports in Jamaica. I think that was from the CAC Awards. As a junior, I don't think I've gotten any formal recognition or anything like that, apart from maybe seeing some event organizers or being like, "Oh, Danielle Stoley, we're so proud of you." Like whenever I see people who are members of the J3A, JOA, and they'd see me, they'd be like, "Danielle, we are so proud of you," and they'd kind of just like extend verbal congratulations.
Okay, so even though you won a champs and beat the pants off these American girls, they didn't really give you
Oh, at the Penn Relays, I was honored by they gave me a lovely bag as a gift because they had like an assembly event at the end of it, and
yes.
they gave us gifts.
We have been there, so we know.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry to over explain it. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry to over explain it. But at the end, they had like awards and stuff, and I think there's even a picture of me out there snuggled up in my sweater because, as I told you, as soon as I was done competing, I needed every coat they had, and I did get awards, and I got an award at that Penn Relays right
Okay,
after I competed.
okay.
All the meets you participated in, which did you most enjoy
As a junior, as a senior, or just overall?
overall?
Overall, I would have to say my favorite games was the CAC games I competed in 2023. That's where I got the silver medal. But overall, on that team, it was just the camaraderie of everyone. It was a small team. I think that year, most people were trying to go to the World Championship, so there weren't a lot of people that they sent to the CAC games. Half
Mhm.
of them were my teammates from Clemson that I already knew, so I was just so comfortable. The staff was lovely. We were very close knit, and honestly, I gained some friends for life out of that championship because the team was so small. We all had to go to each other's games and stuff and sit down and cheer each other on. And honestly, the memory from that team was the best. And also, I was coming off of a terrible college season. It was awful. Like the start of that college season was horrendous.
Mhm.
And to finish it in that competition with a brand new PR, now for the first time medaling on the senior stage that's not under 23. It was an absolute time. Even Coach Michael Vassell from that meet, I have his contact to this day. We still talk to this day. He was a
Mm.
gem of a coach on that trip, and I just loved all the organizers from that trip.
So are you
So,
planning?
so,
Are you planning to utilize this path of your evolution going into your future um, production now? Of
In terms of my career in shot put or my career, my athletic career.
in general, what are your plans?
My plans as of now, I'm actively looking for a job to stay. I'm on OPT because the STEM program that I did. If do you guys are you guys aware of what OPT is? Do I need to explain what it is? It's
Well, for the benefit of our viewers, you might want to do that.
So I'm on OPT, which is basically a temporary work visa that you get after completing a degree from an accredited American university
Uh-huh.
in specific subject. It has to be a bachelor's or a master's degree. So I get 3 years on that working visa. And in those 3 years, which coincidentally line up right until the time of the next Olympics, I'll be looking for a job and I will be pursuing professional athletics while having a job.
Okay.
athletics has taken you to a few countries, Daniel. Um, which country did you enjoy most?
Which country did I enjoy the most? I'm going to have to say Costa Rica. Costa Rica was my favorite country so far.
Yeah.
Food there was good, and that's the second best KFC I have had. Every country that we go to, we try to try the KFC so I can confirm Jamaica is the best KFC. So that's the second best KFC that I have had. It was really, really good. I would recommend it to anybody else.
When you say KFC, it's like Kentucky Fried.
Yes, Kentucky Fried.
Did did drug testing limit then what you ate or what you had to eat? Or did you go through that drug testing period?
Oh, drug testing has always limited what I eat. France, as soon as you enter that Immaculate program, he lets you know that, hey, as an athlete, you can't eat what everybody else eats. The food that you consume, make sure it's from a good source that you trust. Even the waters that we have to this day, if I open a water, I have to listen for the crick first to ensure that it is a freshly opened bottle of water, and that's been instilled in me since high school. I don't take medication unless it's absolutely prescribed, and when I go to the doctors, the first thing I ask is, hey, is this okay by World Anti-Doping standards? And then I have to go home and do my research so I know whether or not I have to declare it yes or no. And
Mm.
yeah, so any medication I have, in the back of my mind, it's always, will water accept this? Will Jadco be okay with this? And that's been instilled in me since I was young. So to this day, I would say drug testing has always been in the
Mm.
back of my mind.
Deal.
Yeah, thanks. Danielle, you mentioned very briefly, that silver medal at the CAC Games. And that same month, which was July of 2023, you also got the bronze medal at the NACAC meet in Costa Rica with the famous KFC chicken there.
Yes.
What was that experience like that month? Because everything happened within like a 2.5 week period.
It's actually really funny because about 2.5 weeks before I left for CACs, I got this injury in my toe. I had like a sprain toe or something dealing with, so I was in a boot up until the time I was at the CAC games. And even after CACs, I was saying I didn't know if I would have went to the U23 team because I didn't want to risk another unnecessary injury. But then I talked to my trainers and they were amazing. And they worked with me and they're saying, hey, if you want to go, you can. If you don't, that's also fine. And they said it just comes down to what you prioritize. Like, hey, do you want to go and try to get your country another medal? Do you want to add another accolade to your resume? Do you want to see if you can even PR again and get another medal on the world stage? And between talking to some of my mentors and the athletic staff, I said, hey, it wouldn't hurt to just go and give it your very best effort, even though I was injured.
Okay. And going back to 2020, we had the disruption from COVID.
Mhm.
How did that impact the process, the recruiting process? We know you ended up at Clemson. Is it because of the Jamaican connection at Clemson why you ended up there, or is there another reason for that?
How I ended up at Clemson University, wonderful institution. I would say the Penn Relays is really what exposed me to Clemson in the first place. Lennox Graham, he was one of the coaches I spoke to when I was at Penn. And when the Clemson coach reached out to me shortly after the Penn Relays in about the fall of that year of 2019, he was like, hey, do you want to come up for a visit? Do you want to see everything? And I went, and it was I loved the campus. I loved how quiet it was at the time. Roger Stoner was there. Zico Campbell was there. The head coach, he was Jamaican. His wife was in law. And at the time, I wanted to go and do law and pursue law. Honestly, I would say the Jamaican diaspora definitely helped. It definitely helped knowing I was going to a school with a bunch of other Jamaicans that was going through the same thing I was going through. I knew that I wouldn't have to be absolutely alone. So for the recruitment process, and I signed a little earlier than most Jamaicans signed. So honestly, when COVID came, I already knew where I was going. I didn't know where anybody else was going. I signed for Clemson that January after visiting about I think it was three schools in total that I visited, and I said, I prayed about it, and I talked to my parents, and they're like, listen, a degree from Clemson University is highly accredited. It's really,
Hmm.
really good. So it would both
Hmm.
address my academic and athletic needs.
And we're speaking about when we refer to the Jamaican coach, it's Mark Elliott and, of course, Lennox Graham, who is more very well known as being the coach for another Danielle,
The
Williams,
hurdles.
the hurdler.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. He has been a mentor not just to me, but to a lot of other Jamaicans that are there. Like I was a thrower and we had no real reason to interact apart from the fact of being Jamaican, but the gems he has passed down and the way he shows up for athletes who are both his direct athletes and not, it was so inspiring and he really creates a home away from home.
Right. Mm. So, Daniel, for all those aspiring athletes, and as we had mentioned, you have a bachelor's degree in economics.
Yes, and a minor in communications.
Okay, and you now have your master's, newly minted master's from Arizona State University in global management with the emphasis on what was that?
Global business.
On global business. Yes. What advice would you give to all the prospective athletes and those who may be a little bit wary of coming to the American universities because sometimes people speak about burnout and all types of things. But you have shown that you can come here and be focused on what you are doing, still represented Jamaica um, at the senior level, medaled in with San Salvador and Costa Rica. So, what advice would you give to them in form of encouragement? Yes, come and do this. It's for the betterment of your life.
I would always advise someone to go where they think the best opportunities lie, for them and for their personal goals. I know a lot of people have stayed in Jamaica and trained, and if that's best for them, I completely support it. I've seen people leave the college system and go back and thrived back home. But for me, I would always advise someone to look at the full scope of the opportunities that lie. Don't just take these coaches' word for it. Don't just take even the advisors that they have, their word for it. I would say when you go, ask all the questions, research the entirety of the school. Before you even sign to a school, look up the athletes that went before. Look up the athletes that are there now. Talk to those athletes one on one because they'll be able to tell you the things that the coaches aren't going to tell you. I would also say when you go, seek out mentorship. Don't be a stranger. Don't just go for the athletic experience. I understand that, Jamaica is such a highly regarded athletic country. Like it's all about sports, it's all about sports, it's all about sports. But when you go to a university, ensure that you leave with the very least an accredited degree that if tomorrow something happens to you, God forbid, you have something to fall back on.
Mhm.
I would say I would say when you do go and you make it over to the land of the free and the home of the brave, ensure that you are rooted and grounded in your morals, in your beliefs. Ensure that you stay connected to your support system. There have been a lot of times when I've been over here and it's so easy to get sad when the winter starts hitting and everything's so unfamiliar. For me, I had to lean on the warmth of my family, the warmth of my friends back home. There's never been a time where I wasn't being called or I wasn't being checked up on for the sake of my mental health. And that was because I learned to lean on my community back home. And I would say ensure that you have a community. You can find one in America. And the last thing I would say is don't be afraid to try something new. Like in this life, you will have so many opportunities come at you. There's nothing wrong with saying, "Hey, I'm gonna try this. It's new and I've never done it before." Or try new food, try new friends. Don't be afraid of the new because if anything does go wrong, you're still so young that this is the time that you can make all the mistakes that you want to make and still have time to shift it, still have time to correct it. Because I always say to myself, there's no mistake too big that God cannot take you back from. So I would say to anyone who wants to come abroad, be so fearless coming over here. Ensure when you do come over here, you're rooted and you're grounded in your morals because America, they will try to sway you. They will try to take away what you might believe to be true. And I'm not saying don't be open to perspective, but I would say stay rooted and grounded in your roots. Know where you come from, acknowledge where you come
Mhm.
from, be proud of it. And when you go anywhere, show it off and know you're representing Jamaica and you're representing your family, and you should do that with the utmost excellence and pride.
Daniel, I'm glad you said that, because for me, I went to a school initially where apparently they were not exposed to Jamaicans. And I used to hear very often, speak English West Indian, you know. But um, I just believe that I have to speak based on how I was brought up. I, I didn't have to twang, so to speak. So, and so I guess as an identity to be identified, then that, well, maybe I'm not American then. But so I found it interesting that, um, associating with people who have never been around a Jamaican or a West Indian who didn't try to speak like them.
Yeah. No, for sure. I've heard the wildest questions about the Jamaican culture. Someone asked if I went to school, if there were monkeys on the way there. Someone asked if I had a pet monkey. Someone asked, "Oh, are lions in Jamaica?" Someone asked, "Oh, do you guys have Wi-Fi down there?" As if I didn't use the Wi-Fi to apply for the school. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah,
You will
yeah,
hear some very absurd questions. It's like, as I said, just be rooted in your pride in where you come from, and
right.
you're gonna hear the ignorance. You're gonna hear people speaking on things they know nothing about because they're not actually from there. And for the most part, I just extend grace. And then for the other part, sometimes I take it as a teaching opportunity to be like, okay,
Mm.
you guys really don't know anything over here.
Is there an athlete while you were in high school performing? Is there an athlete that you most admired?
And athlete I most admired, I will always go to Danielle Stoley. I met her after I won champs for the first time in 2017. And the first thing she said to me was like, "You have the potential to be so great one day if you just keep going." And I've taken her word to this very day. I have her number. She's been so inspiring to me. Every message is every now and again checking up on how I'm doing and my progress towards the sport. And that was even throughout college. And she's just been so inspiring because she herself, I would say, was a testament of how you can use that college system to get greatness out of you. She was, I want to say, the first Jamaican NCAA champion in the shot put. And for me, coming into college, that was something to aspire to. And she didn't even go
Mm.
to one of the big schools, the power schools or anything like that. She went to a regular D1 university, worked with the coach there, and got to her very best. And honestly, she's someone, if you want to really look at something inspiring within this college system and even beyond, especially as like a pro, one of the few Jamaican shot putters to actually navigate the pro circuit, she's extremely impressive to observe.
Mm.
Yes, absolutely, Daniel. And I will close off my part of it with this. I remember it might have been 2018, I'm not sure, but it was in that time period. And you had won the shot put. So I think you were in class two. And when I picked up the Gleaner, all you kept speaking about was God and your faith in God. And I want to share with everyone that that is what impressed me most about you. And every other quotation that's attributed to you since then, God is always at the center of it.
Absolutely.
And that is extremely impressive. And even in talking to you tonight, I'm listening and I'm listening. How many times have you said God in this
Mhm.
interview? So you are consistent and you are exemplary in every sense of the word.
Yeah.
And I'll switch over to John now. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You have won a lot of medals and trophies. Do you know where each of them is?
They're all at home on a shelf on top of my grandmother's whatnot. And I go home and I see them every year. And I think my Costa Rica medal and my CAC medal, I have those two here with me. But everything from champs is back home.
Mm. I know there are still frontiers in track and field in Jamaica that we have not mastered. apart from long distance running. Field events, I think we have not really mastered it. Is that due to a lack of proper coaching, Daniel, or because it's not a glamour event?
I would say it's just because it's not a glamour event. The coaching talent is definitely in Jamaica. We do not have a lack of coaching talent or informed coaches in Jamaica. Some of those Jamaican coaches, especially in the throws, are like world level qualified coaches. I would never say it's a lack of talent. I would just say it is a lack of not a lot of people go into throwing knowing that throwing is a thing. If you've met most of the throwers, they all started as something else. I told you they wanted to put me as a sprinter, and that was like an obvious misfit. I know even Frederick Dakers, I think he was a sprinter. If he wasn't a sprinter, it was like a pole vaulter. But most of the people that I know, they start off as something else. Like throwers in Jamaica are just failed athletes at other events. That's how it's been so far. No one really says, yes, one day I want to be a thrower like the throwers.
Mm.
Like everyone grows up saying, oh, I want to be the next Shelly Ann Fraser, Usain Bolt, Merlene Ottey, the quarries, people like that. So I would say it's probably an exposure issue at this stage, and it's also probably a resources issue to a certain extent. There's no hammer thrower currently training in Jamaica, and I think that's a resources issue. Neoka Clunis, which is one of I think she is the
Hmm.
hammer thrower to represent us on the world stage. And
Right.
even really go home to train. There are very limited places you can train at home, and that's a resources issue. I would say.
All right,
They,
let's cut the fat and get down to the bone, okay? Now, how many boyfriends do you have, and how many kids you plan to have?
Currently none, and that's okay. Currently none. The Lord has bestowed my future husband upon me, and that's fine because I'm so loved and I'm so blessed in every other area that I've never even really felt the absolute need to engage in a relationship right now. But I know one day when it does happen, I will let all you will all be the first to know.
Okay.
what's your favorite meal?
My favorite Jamaican meal or overall?
Overall.
Overall, well, I guess my overall meal is a Jamaican meal. I'm a big curry goat, rice and peas person with a little coleslaw and some fried plantain on the side. And I know that's very specific, but that's what I go home to every single time.
Very good. And in your downtime, Daniel, what do you enjoy doing most?
Well, it changes from time to time. Right now, I am very much into hikes and sightseeing, and that's because of the state that I'm in, which is Arizona, which is beautiful. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
find new hikes, find new drives, little walks, stuff like that, just to keep myself active in my off time, I would say.
By the way, do you get or hear Caribbean music in Arizona where you are?
You would be so surprised how often I do hear Caribbean music, and I don't think they recognize it's Caribbean music. I'd be in the store and I'd hear Sean Paul on the TV, or I'd hear maybe Skilly Bang on a collab with another artist. Like Jamaican culture is so far reaching. I'd be in the oddest, most like rural places and randomly hear Sean Paul. And I'm like, do these people know? That's Shonda Paul on the thingy, and yeah, so I would say I hear it very often. There's actually a really small diaspora. It's not huge. It's small, but there's a
Yeah.
little diaspora out here. I'm even in contact.
Actually, why I ask you that question too, because there's this friend of mine who worked on radio. He worked from Jamaica, Carl Anthony, and he has a program there that he has been doing now for donkey's years. He's in Arizona.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm not sure what station he's on, but I know he has a radio program there.
Okay. I'm going to have to check that out.
Is there is your athletic career over, or you going to go into the pro ranks?
My athletic career is not over, and I'm currently transitioning into the pro ranks, just establishing a camp where I can train just to get some consistency in where I train and who I train with. And for that, I'm currently shopping around for my new training ground.
So you're looking at that 20-meter mark.
Very, very, very often that does cross my mind.
Yeah, I would really love to see a Jamaican breach, a woman breaching that 20 meter in the shot put, you know.
You may very well see it so soon. Hopefully it's me, but if
Yes,
not,
certainly.
I might see it so very much soon.
Well, Trevor, I don't know if you and Dale have any more questions you would like to dig into Danielle to
No.
get her perspectives.
Well, I mean, I would just like to let her know that this platform is open, and once you have been on this platform, you're now a roving ambassador for the platform, which means that you are able to invite other persons who you think are in the shadows. Just contact Dale or contact John, and give us a chance to bring them into the light. Okay,
Oh,
so you are now in. As I said, once you are here on the Legacy series or on the platform, you are now a roving ambassador for the network. Thank you so much for your dedication and for breaking the glass ceilings that you have been breaking. And I'm surprised that I have not had advanced information across our network about all the things that you have accomplished. But let me say that that's gonna change, okay? And I already sent you a connection to your LinkedIn account so that you can be able to click and go back to Diaspora Impact with John Dale Brown. So that's already on your LinkedIn account, okay?
thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, so Daniel, thank you so much. Thank you, Dale, for having Daniel join us on John Sports Corner and on the Social Bone Media Network this afternoon. And I tell you, Daniel, I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with you. Um, it's so nice to have you. I mean, a few weeks ago, we had Mishka May Hyde with us, who just broke the Jamaica um,
Wow.
marathon record. Yeah. So, as Trevor said up front, we want to touch bases with our young athletes coming through and have them be a part of what we do here on John Sports Corner.
No, thank you guys so much for having me and for recognizing me. It's truly, I know I've said an honor 5 million times, but I really do mean it. It is an honor and a privilege to sit down here before you guys. And thank you so much for sharing these stories. It's so interesting and so needed to be heard.